Voice-over audio processing is often used to fix issues or problems within a recording, but the best case scenario is to use voice-over processing to optimize a great recording with little to no problems to begin with. We're going to hear what that sounds like. I'm Lenny B, voice-over audio engineer. Let's make your voice sound better. Gerard Pardo is a voiceover artist from Barcelona, Spain, and he's asked me to process his voice. He's using a Rode NT1000 into the Native Instruments Complete Audio 6 interface, and he usually records with PreSonus Studio One. He says he's a beginner, but after I listened to his audio and kind of spoke with him over chat, he's ready. He's ready for prime time. That brings me to the idea of getting out of the garage, and it's a concept that I heard a while ago, and I tell to a lot of my students because it's a really helpful concept. The parallels between a voiceover artist or content creators and a band are really apparent. There's great parallels there. When you're in a band and you are practicing, you could spend hours and days and years in the garage practicing and trying to get better and trying to fine-tune your craft. But unless you get out of that garage and book some gigs and give it a shot and get the live experience, you won't really get to the level that you need to be. You've got to get out of the garage. So my suggestion for Gerard and anyone who says, oh, I'm not ready yet, or I'm not going to, I still have some more practicing to do before I try to apply for a voiceover gig or submit my voice to one of the websites that hires voiceover artists. Do it. That's how you're going to learn. Yes, you're going to get rejected. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but that is how you're going to get to the next level. Got to put yourself out there. I mean, we've all heard that, right? But that's what I mean when I say get out of the garage. You've got to book a gig. It probably won't be your best gig. Somebody will videotape it and you'll look at it later and cringe, but go out there and perform. Go out there, submit your voice, go out there and try to get a gig, because that's the only thing that's going to ever get you to the next level. So let me show you the unprocessed sound from Gerard, and you'll notice that it sounds really good. His room sounds really good. The microphone sounds great, and his levels are great. So what this is a really good example. This is one of the best submissions I've worked with, and it's a pleasure to process a voice like this, because this is on the top end, the optimum of what we're all striving for, to get a voiceover high quality recording that allows you to really connect on an emotional level with the listener.
Nuestro concesionario está haciendo una campaña para decir gracias. Para mostrar nuestro agradecimiento, todos los trabajadores de salud y los socorristas reciben un cambio de aceite complementario.
Now, when I give it a first pass and listen to a submission that's unprocessed like this, what I'm listening for is, what are the frequency spaces that I can optimize? What's the pleasing part of his voice that I can optimize? What are the unpleasing parts that I can bring down a little bit with EQ? Is gating or expanding going to optimize the overall quality? How's the level, the recording level? And this one looks really good. Will saturation or a little bit of very extremely light distortion help thicken up the sound? And what is compression going to do? And how much should I use? And should I use 2 compressors or 1 compressor? And what style of compressor? All of the plugins in my library, I'm thinking about which ones are best and would bring out the best of this voice. So that's kind of what's going through my head when I'm listening to this for the first time.
Nuestro concesionario está haciendo una campaña para decir gracias. Para mostrar nuestro agradecimiento.
So really well, it's already well balanced as far as the frequencies go. So there's going to be a lot of sculpting and fine tuning and optimizing, not as much fixing. And again, you'll see that I've got my input and output meters up, because those really help drive my direction and settings, because I want to make sure everything is gain staged correctly. And let's take a look at what I've decided to use for his processing. I start with the SoftTube's free plugin. By the way, it's the saturation knob, and this adds a light amount, a very, very light amount of distortion, which actually helps thicken up the sound. And I'm keeping it in the low register for the bassing parts, not in the higher frequencies or in the middle. Then I'm going into FabFilter's Pro Q3, which is an amazing EQ, which also offers some dynamic processing. Then we go into the Schoeps Omni-Channel, which I have just become a huge fan of because it's got so many things right in the one plugin, and it's really affordable. I think it's usually around $38 on sale from Waves. Then we're going into a solid bus compressor, and I'm using this for two reasons, because I know he's already a Native Instruments user, so there's a likely possibility that this compressor is available to him already. I'm going to find out, so he doesn't have to buy more plugins than he has to achieve the sound that I've created for him. And then I do just a little bit more metering, but that's nothing that he needs to use to get the sound. So that's what I've come up with to create his custom preset sound, and I really, really like what I've come up with. Now, what I do for voiceover clients is exactly this. I listen to your voiceover audio, I suggest some equipment or connection or room treatment changes if necessary. Then I go through and create a custom processing setting for his voice, tuned specifically for his voice tone on his mic, recorded in his room. You could send me your voiceover to process just like this one, and it doesn't have to be the best quality. You don't have to be a professional high-end voiceover artist. Actually, it's quite the opposite. The more help that you need, the more effective what I do is going to be for you. And the suggestions that I make to improve your sound, that's going to be better. So don't hesitate to send me, no matter what level you're at, no matter what equipment that you're using. I've received voiceover audio from people using, really inexpensive $50 microphones. So if you're interested in improving your sound, I can help you. There's a link in the description to submit your voice, and you can find training courses and free techniques on my website, lennyb.com. So let's listen to what this preset sounds like after I added the saturation and the EQ, the Schoeps Omni-Channel, and the solid bus compressor from Native Instruments. Let's hear the difference first without the processing, and then I'll activate it.
Nuestro concesionario está haciendo una campaña para decir gracias. Para mostrar nuestro agradecimiento, todos los trabajadores de salud y los socorristas reciben un cambio de aceite complementario, una inspección multipunto y un control del estado del vehículo desde ahora hasta final de año. Esta oferta está disponible en todas las marcas y modelos.
One of the things you'll notice right away, and this happens, is very common, is it appears to be louder, but the average level is actually quieter. And that's because we are manipulating some of these high peaks there. These really quick transient peaks that really set the top of the level at the highest, and we're squishing it all down. That's what the compression does. But as a result, the sound is a much more thick, compressed, kind of just a warm, pleasing sound that my goal, which I've said this before, is to help make the best emotional connection with the listener, so your message really persuades somebody to act, which is purchase a product or to have a feeling or to feel like they want to listen to more. The one thing that I'll point out that is a little different is at the end of the chain here, I'm using a bus compressor, which really just kind of puts a nice gloss and glue, they call that. It kind of sounds like it glues everything together. But I want you to take a notice. I'll play this again with and without just the solid bus compressor. So everything else is going to be activated. So let's open up everything. And what I'm going to do is just switch on and off only the solid bus compressor so you can hear the difference. First, we'll hear everything without the compressor at the end of the chain, and then I'll activate just the compressor.
Nuestro concesionario está haciendo una campaña para decir gracias. Para mostrar nuestro agradecimiento, todos los trabajadores de salud y los socorristas reciben un cambio de aceite complementario, una inspección multipunto y un control del estado del vehículo desde ahora hasta final de año.
It really reins in some of the peaks, the transients, those really high peaks, and it kind of glues it all together. Makes it a little sound more compact, but unless you know exactly what to listen for, you almost don't even hear it, and that's kind of the point. You want to add a feeling and a vibe with processing, but you don't want people to notice kind of what's going on. At least that's how I like to work. Thank you for all the support and the wonderful comments. If you've got questions, I'm happy to answer them. The website is lennyb.com. Your voice sound should inspire you, and if it's not happening, let's make it happen. I can help you do it. Let's make your voice sound better. Thanks for watching.